All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the reading session on the book called Atiku, the story of Atiku Abubakar. Atiku Abubakar, the Waziri of Adamawa and the PDP presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential election. And I want to congratulate you for being selected to be part of this reading session. You are going to be the storytellers of His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. A lot has been written about Atiku Abubakar in the past, but things we write in books are not usually read. But what is fast spread are the spoken words, the stories we tell on the streets and in meeting places. Because before you read Atiku's stories in a book, his stories must have been told 100 times verbally. So we need to create masters and experts of Atiku's story. People that you can wake them up from their sleep and they will tell you the full story of Atiku. You can ask them any specific question about Atiku and they will tell you what happened in every aspect of Atiku's life. And at the moment when Nigerians need to know the man Atiku, the person that is most likely to be their president, there's no time more important for Nigerians to know the story of Atiku than now. Because knowing the story of Atiku will make Nigerians to love him, to like him. Because attention leads to interest. If you will pay attention to Atiku's story, you will have interest in Atiku. You will love the man Atiku. Because that book, especially this book, will change your impression of the man Atiku Abubakar. I read the book. No, even though I was very close to Atiku, but after reading the book, I came to realize so many things I didn't know about Atiku. And that has changed my perspective about the man Atiku Abubakar. Now he earned more respect from me, and this is someone I really value and respect. And his story is full of inspiration and so much lessons that we, the young people, we can learn. And today we are going to read Atiku's life. We are going to see what Atiku has undergone in his life, the major lessons, the major achievement. We are going to look at his antecedents. We're going to look at his childhood, his education, his business, his politics, every aspect of Atiku's life. Today we are going to learn that. And you guys are going to take the quiz, and you are going to win prizes, and you will be taken to His Excellency Atiku Abubakar for a group photograph and handshake as appreciation for your mastery in Atiku's story. Atiku's story is going to outlive his life and his political crusade, because I believe Atiku Abubakar is more than a politician. He's a mentor. He's someone that his life is full of so many lessons and so many ramifications for young people, for generations to come. And that's why I believe this session is not only political, it's life-changing. I can see a lot of experts here, professionals, and we have leaders. I would like to recognize the leader of the Atiku Youth Wing, Ibrahim Idris Kalgo, who is here with us. Let's appreciate him. He's also here. I could see Aliyu Ahmad. Aliyu Ahmad has written a book, has translated a book written on Atiku, My Life. Aliyu Ahmad is from Kaduna. Can you rise up for recognition? I can see Ahmad Sise. He's the founder and CEO of the Vision Valley. He's also here with us. We have Ambassador Abba Mahadi, who is the national coordinator for ambassadors, Atiku ambassadors, is here with us. And so many faces. I believe Hawa made mention of introduction. I think in the course of this program, you guys, you get to talk and introduce yourselves. We get to know more about you. These are the faces that I can easily recognize, but I know there are a lot of great people in the room. But let's get to it. So this is how we're going to do it. We will now take the entire summary of Atiku's story. So after that, you guys, you are going to be... Okay, thank you. You guys will be writing down your favorite part of the story. You'll be making notes. And then you come here and then tell us your favorite part of the story or the lessons you have from Atiku's story. Oh, okay, the books. Hafsat, can we get, Obama, can we get Hafsat share all the books to everyone? Okay, they've been shared around. So everyone should have a copy of the book. Even though while we are doing this summary, we may not want people to be distracted reading the book at this moment, but you'll have moment to read the book afterward. But for now, I'm giving you the summary of the book. So if you focus here, then everyone will get a copy of the book, but we get the best of the summary when we pay attention here. So in my presentation, I'm going to take you through the origin of Atiku. We're going to also see the childhood and education of Atiku Abubakar. We are going to also look at his life as a customs officer. We're also going to look at his business life. A lot of people want to know how Atiku Abubakar became rich. Why did he get his money? What sort of businesses is he doing? And there are a lot of things to also clear in this perspective. And also his politics. You guys, you said, when we asked you the questions, what do you want to learn more about Atiku? The top 3 areas you guys said you want to know more about Atiku is political life. A lot of you here say, I want to know about Atiku's political life. The next thing after that, you guys, you say you want to know about his business life. And then the next thing that you guys say you want to know more about him is his origin. So we are going to focus more on these 3 areas. The Atiku's political journey, the business journey, and his origin. So let's look at Atiku's origin. As you can see, this old picture of the young Atiku. When we try to look at Atiku's origin, we have to trace it back to a man called Ardo Usman. Ardo Usman is someone that used to live in a town called Yelba. Yelba is in the present day of Cameroon, northern Cameroon. And this Ardo Usman was a rich man. He had a lot of cattle, he had a lot of slaves at that time. That was the very ancient times, long time ago, before I think this is the colonial era. So this man, during those period, there was no cars, there was no vehicle. And Ardo Usman said, I want to travel to Sokoto. He wanted to go to Sokoto to seek knowledge, especially Islamic knowledge, and to learn about history, about the history of the Sheikh Usman Danfodio. He wanted to visit his tomb. And then, so he had to travel from Yelba to Sokoto. And it took him 3 months to travel from Yelba to Sokoto. Ardo Usman, with his slaves, with his armies or protectors, people that protect him, and his commander was called Buba Galadima. Not this one, not the current Buba Galadima. But I remember I read in the book that his commander of his armies and slaves was called Buba Galadima. And into this time, if you have to travel to cover that distance, you have to spend 13 hours. But Ardo Usman spent 3 months to travel to Sokoto. And in Sokoto, he went specifically to a village called Wurno. So I want you to follow this story because there's going to be a quiz at the end. And the quiz is going to be based on all these things I'm narrating. So when Ardo Usman went to Sokoto, when Ardo Usman visited Wurno, he spent 18 months at Wurno. And there was a time when he visited the tomb of Muhammad Bello. And when he was visiting the Muhammad Bello's tomb, at that moment there was also someone that came. And this person is the origin, or is from the Wurno area. And this person also came, and the name of this person was Atiku. But this Atiku is called, his full name was Atiku Abubakar. So Atiku Abubakar came to the tomb when Ardo Usman was also visiting the tomb. And then they met. So Ardo Usman, all the way from Yelba, now went to Wurno, now meeting a new friend called Atiku Abubakar. They became friends. And then during the 18 months of his stay in Wurno, he will become very close to this Atiku. And when Ardo Usman was about to leave Wurno, he begged Abubakar, the father of Atiku, to allow him go with his new friend Atiku back to Yelba. And at that time, people could give their children to families, they trust. There was this kind of exchange of families, for exploration. And then Abubakar agreed to give Ardo Usman, the young man, Atiku Abubakar. And then Ardo Usman traveled back with Atiku to Yelba. And now they are in Yelba back again. And at that moment, the Yelba area was under the occupation of the Germans. And then the French and the British came and chased away the Germans out of the Yelba territory. And between the French and the British, they decided to share the territories around. And it happened that the Yelba was then left under the control of French. And then the French subjected Yelba to the authority of an old rival of Ardo Usman. So Ardo Usman said, no, I cannot live under the French control and under the control of my old rival. So I have to change my location. So Ardo Usman then decided to leave Yelba and then move to a town called Kojoli. So this is the initial stage of tracing Atiku's story to the town Kojoli. Because Ardo Usman was a commanding person, was full of command and respect and a lot of followers and cattle and animals and slaves. So when he settled in Kojoli, he wanted to make Kojoli a hub for Fulani and a lot of people to come. A lot of people were migrating at that time and traders were coming. And then the British authority said, we cannot make Kojoli an autonomous entity or autonomous like a district. So it has to be under one of the existing districts. So Ardo Usman now had to choose one of the leaders of those districts. So he decided to join someone called Mansur Namberu. So Kojoli will not be autonomous, and Ardo chose to live under Mansur Namberu. So that's how Ardo left Yelba to Kojoli, which was under the British control. Yelba at this current moment is still under northern Cameroon. So you could hear a lot of people, opposition party, they say, Atiku was originally from Cameroon. But at this moment, even the father of Atiku was not even born. And at this moment, the only trace of Atiku was the Atiku who was coming from where? From Wurno. So Atiku has no connection to Cameroon whatsoever. So if people are telling you Atiku is from Cameroon, what do? You tell them the story because they are oblivious of the fact. They don't know the story. So most of these political accusations are not true. So now this is how Atiku's grandfather settled in Kojoli. If you remember, Atiku used to visit Kojoli, and in fact, his childhood spent most of his time between Kojoli and Jada. I will take you through this story. But because we are talking about Atiku's origin, so I have a slide for his family, but I'm going to skip this one a bit and then finish talking about his childhood first. So this is what happened. Okay, and I believe this will help me. So this is not really visible. So I'll take you through the story from just, I think I can remember some of them. So Ardo Usman then settled in Kojoli. And then there is someone who came from Bauchi, someone called Muhammad Sarkin Sati. This is a very good name that I want you to remember. Muhammad Sarkin Sati also migrated from Bauchi. He came to where? To Kojoli. And then he came with a daughter. He came with children, and his eldest daughter was Asma'u, then followed by Iyapatu, and then Rukayetu, who was called Adda. So now the young Atiku that came from Wuruno is now settling in Kojoli. And Adda Osman will give him some land to farm and some money to start his own business so that he'll become independent. And Atiku Al-Qadir from Wuruno will then marry the Iyapatu, the daughter of Muhammad Sarki Sati. So these are the grandparents of Atiku Abubakar. So the grandparents of Atiku Abubakar are the Atiku Al-Qadir of Wuruno, Sokoto State, and then Iyapatu, who came from where? Bauchi State. So you could trace Atiku's history or origin to Sokoto and Bauchi. So if you have some Bauchi people or Sokoto here, so Atiku is yours. So Atiku was originally from Sokoto, and that is from his grandfather, and from his grandmother from Bauchi State. And then these guys, they will now settle and give birth to the father of Atiku Abubakar, who was called Garba Abubakar. So, and this young Garba, okay, the married Atiku, Iyapatu died when, Iyapatu died when her son Garba was young, was pretty young. So Garba then also grew up without his mother, and then he also meet a lot of friends. So he grew in Kojoli. His aunt Rukayetu took him to Jada after the days of his mother. So this is the first moment when Atiku get his roots to Jada. So after the death of Iyapatu, so the Iyapatu sister, who was called Rukayetu Adda, was marrying in Jada. So the Garba Abubakar was then taken to Jada, to his aunt's place to stay. So that's how Atiku got his root in Jada, from Kojoli to Jada, because he was living with his aunt, Rukayetu, in Jada. And then, while in Jada, someone also from Duse, the present-day Duse, but that time was all Kano State, was called Adamu Duse, came to Jada. And he also came with his children. He came with 3 children. The first child was Ali, who Atiku will always call Kawu Ali. And then Aisha Kande, and then Fatima, who was called Azumi. So that Kande, Aisha Kande, was Atiku's mother, was the one that gave birth to Atiku. So what happened was, Garba, while he was taken to Jada, then he saw the daughter of the person that migrated from Duse to come to Jada, and then he married Aisha Kande. So the 2 of them, Garba and Aisha Kande, will give birth to the man Atiku Abubakar. So this is how you can trace the story, the origin of Atiku Abubakar. So we have a family tree of Atiku, which is it cannot stand here. So we have taken it outside. After this presentation, we are going to go outside, and I'm going to take you through the family roots, the family chain of Atiku, as I'm explaining here. And Atiku Abubakar himself, because he was the sole child in his family, because his father did not have any child. He gave birth to a daughter, but she died. So Atiku Abubakar was the only child. And his aunt didn't have a child. Rukaye didn't have a child. And his mother also. It's only Kawu Ali that had children. 3 children. So these are the direct blood relatives of Atiku Abubakar, apart from his children. The children of Kawu Ali. So I'm going to take you through the story of Kawu Ali and how he played a role. But Atiku, he said, one of his major legacies in life is his family, his children. Giving birth to so many children, because he grew up lonely, the lonely child in his family. So he said he wanted to give birth to so many children to expand his roots. So that's why Atiku Abubakar had about 28 children. And he married about 6 wives at different times. The first wife we know is Ajia Amina Titi. Then we were going to take through them, then Saadatu Ladi, then Princess Rukayetu, Fatima Shatima, and then Jennifer, who was later was called Jamila, and so on and so forth. So we're going to take through this, how he met them and how many children he had with them. And then we are going to see on the family tree of Atiku, we are going to see all these illustrations with the children and their mothers too. So let's go back to the childhood of Atiku Abubakar and his education, where Atiku Abubakar got education. So this is where I want you also to focus more, because there are a lot of questions around this area. Okay, so Atiku Abubakar, as a young child in the village, just like any other child, will go and take care and rear the animals, will go to the bush with the animals, with the cattle, to rear his own family's cattle and other neighbors' cattle. I remember when he was interviewed, when he visited Jada recently, he said he remembered when he used to take his neighbors' cattle and rear them, bring them back, and then collect stipends, collect some money. He used that money to help his mother. And with his hard work, he built a house for his mother. Imagine how hardworking a child like Atiku had been. So he used to help his father, before his father died, in the farm and with the livestock and herding as well. So he used to fetch firewood for cooking and illumination. At that time, Kojoli and Jada, there was no electricity, there was no water, running water. So he has to go and fetch the water and the firewood for illumination. He will ride on horses and donkeys, spend free time playing soccer, just like any other child. He will hunt for bats. Who hunted bats when you are young? Bat hunting. A lot of us, we've done that. Obama, you've done that, right? And in the evening hours, you know, in an Islamic village like that, they will go for Quranic classes in the evening hours. And he is a master of climbing trees. Whenever his whenever his parents angered him, when he's angry with his parents, he will climb trees and stay there until his mother come and begging him, Atiku, please come down. We are sorry. Okay, it's over. He will only come down when he made sure that he made his own points clear. Sometimes there was a day when he climbed on a tree and he slept off. And he will fall down from that tree. And from that day, he stopped climbing trees. Okay, so he took his father's look. So when you look at his father and you look at Atiku, they resemble. But he took his mother's complexion, the dark color, the dark skin. So his father initially was very suspicious of Western education. At that time, there was so much campaign going on about compulsory mass education to get every child educated. But his father was a strong Islamic scholar that thought, this is like going against Islamic. This is teaching people a different religion. So he kicked against Atiku joining school. So Atiku was sent hidden to a place called Kubi. So after, remember, who came from Wurno? What's his name? Who came from Wurno? Atiku Abubakar. So Atiku Abubakar, after leaving Wurno, has never gone back to Wurno. There was the first attempt by his brother, one of his brothers, to follow him back, to follow him to Yelba or Kojoli, but he died on the way. Another brother will also follow him, but this brother was able to make it. So this is where Atiku was sent hiding. So he went here, he was hidden in the inner room, and he was fed, and he was not allowed to come out, so that the authorities would not see Atiku. But everyone knows there was a child Atiku, but why are we not seeing him in the school? So that he was soon become exposed, and then of course his uncle Kawu Ali, who got a little education through adult literacy, who could read and write, has to take Atiku to school without the knowledge of his father. So this is what we wrote there. So Kawu Ali took Atiku. Atiku at that time, he was 8 years old. He took him away and registered him as Atiku Kojoli. The first name Atiku was registered in school was Atiku Kojoli. So this is likely one of the clues in the quiz question. So what was Atiku's first name in school? His first name was Atiku Kojoli. And that was at Jada Primary School in 1954. Which year was that? 1954. At that time, even primary schools were boarding schools. So Atiku will have to leave his parents and go and live in the school. So Atiku's father, because of that, he has to be arrested and jailed. And he was fined how much? 10 shillings. At that time, there was no kobo, there was no naira, or all this. So the fine was 10 shillings for hiding Atiku Abubakar, for not sending Atiku Abubakar to school. And he was arrested. He was asked to pay this fine, but he didn't. He said he doesn't have money. He didn't have money at that time. So it was Kande's mother. And who was that? That is the wife of Adamu Duse, right? That came, who was making a local soap, selling soap in the town. She was the one who raised money to bail Atiku's father. That is his mother-in-law. And then when Atiku was 11, when he was at Jada Primary School, his father died. This is how his father died. His father used to go to markets. You know, traders, how they move around markets. Then they went to a place called Tongo. I believe Tongo is likely to be in Cameroon area now. So they went to Tongo. And then it was raining. It rained that day. And Atiku's father had a friend called Bura. Remember this name, right? Don't forget this name. So Atiku's father, that is Garba, had a friend called Bura. And they went to Tongo together, Tongo market. As they were about to come back to where? To Jada. That's very good. They were about to come back to Jada, and then it rained, and then the water level has risen already. So it was very dangerous to pass through the water because of the high tide of the water. And Bura told Garba Abubakar that, no, don't pass, let us pass the night here in Tongo. When the water levels comes down, then we can cross the river. But Atiku's father was very stubborn. He insisted, I have to cross. So he had to now start crossing the river. As he started crossing the river in a canoe, in a small boat, Bura was narrating. He saw how Garba Abubakar got drowned and sank in the river and died. So he saw him when he was getting drowned. And then his dead body was taken to a show somewhere far distant from there, and then he would be brought back to Tongo, and he was buried in Tongo area. So Atiku would later go back to that area to build a Islamic primary school at that site to honor his father. So this is how Atiku's father died when he was just 11 years old. So he became orphan from the age of 11. But he was still at primary school. And at primary school, Atiku Abubakar did not like mathematics. You had me saying that in my video, right? And he didn't like mathematics initially because their teacher at the primary school was very harsh. You know how mathematics teachers are, right? You can all relate. Mathematics teachers, most of them, they are very difficult and harsh teachers. And later when he went to Adamawa Provincial Secondary School, they had this Indian teacher. Can someone talk to the noise in the outside? Okay. And when he was at secondary school, they had this Indian teacher, a mathematics teacher, who had this heavy accent, and they could not even understand his English. So he lost interest in mathematics. So he fell in love with Hausa language, because at that time Atiku could not speak Hausa. The only language he spoke at that time was Fulfulde. And then he found Hausa very amazing, very interesting. And I remember this one he told me one-on-one. He said he would listen to radio. And through radio, he learned Hausa. So the classes that we are taught, Hausa classes that we are taught in the classroom was not enough for him. He would go and tune in a radio to listen to learn Hausa more. So his favorite subject was Hausa language. And I remember one of the very interesting things that happened while he was at primary school. he will recall, particularly the name of his class monitor, who was called Simon Grumpao. Simon Grumpao was an adult, in fact, older student in the classroom, in the class, Atiku's class. So this person, because of Atiku's troubleness or troublesome or troubles, he will one day make sure that no one was around the school, and then he abducted Atiku Abubakar. He took him to the bush, dug a hole, and buried Atiku alive. So this Simon, the class monitor, wanted Atiku dead. So he left him with only his head outside, so that animals will come and eat and kill him and that. And then there was a head count in the school, and Atiku was missing. And that's how a scout was sent, and Atiku was found tired or almost suffocating, almost about to die. He was buried alive by Simon. Simon will be punished for that, what he has done. So this is a bit about what happened to Atiku at primary school. And then Atiku finished primary school. Now he is ready to go to secondary school. At that time, if you are the top best category of the student, they will be sent to government colleges. If you are at the second category, you will be sent to provincial secondary school. But if you are at the lower category, you will be sent to craft schools. So Atiku, falling under the second category because he was not good in mathematics, he will be sent to provincial secondary school in Yola. So he went there in 1961. So he was very troublesome, stubborn. I remember when I was telling Mohammed Atiku about the story of his father, I said, your father was very stubborn. He said, oh, now I remember. That's why my brother got his stubbornness. I said, your father was also troublesome when he was in secondary school. He fought with a lot of people. He will play hockey. He will be moving around the campus with his hockey sticks, and he wouldn't care to kick anybody with. Okay, so he was going around the campus with his hockey sticks, and he will not hesitate to use them against any student who tried to bully him. When he comes for vacation, Atiku will now start working with Adamu Chiroma. Adamu Chiroma at that time was the district officer of Ganye. Ganye was a town very close to Jada. So he will go and become like what they call like bring up clerk. I don't know what that means, but it's just like a menial job he was doing at that time during his vacation. So Atiku was very industrious, wanted to make living since when he was a child at secondary school. So he was 15 years old. With all these struggles, he bought a house for his mother. And I wish Kabir Sadiq is here. He will have shown you in his comic book, illustration book, where he drew the house that he bought for his mother. So after Atiku's father died, Kawu Ali will now sold this house. But Atiku was very mad at him. He said, how could you sell the house I bought for my mother? And he was not happy, and Atiku has to repurchase the house back again and refurbish the house. And Atiku, he was narrating when he visited the site recently, he said, this used to be the hut, or like a small house I bought for my mother. And this used to be the rich man that was our neighbor that I used to take his cattle to rear for him. And Atiku will later buy every house around that area. He bought almost every house around that territory, and because he wanted to leave the legacy of his family and his mother. While Atiku was in Form 3 in Yola, because Azumi and Kande, they didn't have children, and they wanted to have a grandson or granddaughter. So they wanted Atiku, the only child, to get married faster and quickly. You know how olden days in villages, young people got married at early ages. And then Atiku was arranged for a marriage. He was not even aware of that. And Azumi and Kande will go and make all the arrangements and spend a lot of money to make sure that Atiku married this young lady. And Atiku ran away to his friend in Mubi. During the vacation this time around, refused to come back to Jada. Had you been Atiku came back to Jada, he would have gotten married to this Jada girl. But she was lucky, she got married to someone who was ready at that time to get married. So I told you about Uncle Ali, Kawa Ali, who had 3 children. So these are the only directly blood relatives of Atiku. There was no any trace or history of other relatives, Atiku, Abdul Qadir, that left Wurno. So I'm sure there are a lot of people who are from Wurno or who are from Sokoto, who are direct blood relatives of Atiku, but they may not know at this moment. And then he finished provincial secondary school in Yola. What next? But Atiku, you know, he failed mathematics. He was not good in mathematics. So he arrived in Police College, Kaduna, before his GCE result came out, with the hope that he would bring a credit or a pass in mathematics. So he started in 1966. He arrived Kaduna for the first time. He's seen somewhere outside Jada. A village boy was seeing electricity. I think you know, outside Yola, outside Adamawa, because he was in Yola. I remember when he was saying it was in Yola he first saw electricity. He saw electric bulb. And at that time he was at around 14 years old. He was 14 years old when he started seeing electric bulb. And then he arrived in Kaduna. The day he arrived in Kaduna, that was the same day Amadou Sardauna was killed. Tafawa Balewa was killed during the coup of January 15, 1966. He will recall that he started seeing police checkpoints as he was arriving in Kaduna. He said, what happened? And then he was told there was a coup. So he started settling down in police college. 3 months into the college, his GCE result came out. He failed mathematics. And because of that, he has to discontinue from police college, Kaduna. So he became redundant in Kaduna without anything doing. So he will now meet somebody called Muhammad Taylor. He's a tailor. And he will start working with him, sewing buttons for him. He's like his boy, working in the tailoring shop. And he will be squatting in somebody called Mbranjada, Abdullah Mbranjada, who's from his area. He will be sleeping in his house. But his house is like a people's house. Everyone comes around. And you don't have a particular room. You just have to sleep in the premises of the house. And if someone sleeps in your place, you cannot say it's your place. So you have to find somewhere else. And he was by himself. No one was supporting him, so he had to start looking for jobs. Then he got a job as a tax officer. And then he was applying to so many places. He applied for School of Hygiene, Kano, and he got the job there. And I remember when he was saying he faced so much hardship while he was in Kaduna, a lot of hunger, and sometimes he would feed on the wild mangoes. He would go and climb a mango tree and eat mango as his meal, and that's all. So now he's at School of Hygiene, Kano. So what happened there? That is May 1966, the same year. And then they were told sanitation, refuse disposal, food hygiene, first aid, and physiology. And that's why you see Atiku, even now, he's very good with his health, make sure he takes care of his body and his health. And that's where he got the knowledge. So he started becoming serious while he was in Kano. So it was in Kano he get his first revelation. He started becoming serious, and he started reading books, and he joined student politics. He will later be elected as the president emeritus of the school. There was a riot by the students. They expelled their president, and now they elected Atiku as their president. This is the first time Atiku participated in politics as a student leader. He will leave School of Hygiene Kano without his certificate. He said he doesn't need a certificate. So Atiku Abubakar, as is written in the book, did not collect his certificate from School of Hygiene Kano, but he has successfully finished that. But he soon got admission into the ABU, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, to study law, a diploma in law. So it's called ABU Institute of Administration in 1967. That was in Congo campus to study diploma in law. But he got a scholarship from Northern Regional Scholarship Board. So that's why Atiku said, this country has given me so much. I got education free, and I have to pay back to this country. So this is the scholarship he got from Northern Regional Scholarship Board. And then again, his friends have already joined the student politics. They were elected or contested different positions. So he will have gone for president, but he had to settle down to become the Assistant Secretary General and then the Deputy Speaker of the Student Union Parliament at the ABU's area. In 1969, after the civil service, there was a need to fill the vacant public service positions. So a lot of Biafrans have left the public service, and there are a lot of vacancies in the public service. And then there was a recruitment drive by the Federal Ministry of Federal Civil Service Commission to fill those vacancies. I think it was just after the Civil War. And then these recruitment drivers, they came, and they were looking at student files. They came across the Atiku's file, and they saw that he was once at police college. Where? Kaduna. And they said, because you have experience from police college, why won't you join customs? And Atiku said, yes, let me join customs. So they offered him the job in customs. So it wasn't that Atiku applied for customs. So it was these people that were looking for students graduating soon who would like to join the public service. They were the ones who offered him the custom job. And then he said, okay, fine. But they gave him a lower rank. Most of his friends said, no, we are not going to customs. With this lower rank, we cannot go. We'd rather go and do our degree in law, because they were just finishing their diploma in law. So Atiku will join customs from that moment, and he will rise to become the second deputy director of customs from this moment. So this is how Atiku joined customs. So now let's look at what happened in Atiku's customs life or service. The first place where he was posted was Idoroko. His service number was 7370. That was his batch number. And then he was soon sent to the training, sent for training at police college in Ikeja, in Lagos. And then he found love. I found a love. DJ, do you have that song? Okay, he found love. This is what happened. Atiku was new in customs when he noticed a young lady who was coming from Benin, from Togo, right? Yeah, Benin. Was coming. Benin, yeah, was coming from Benin. You guys are really very familiar. You can correct me when I'm wrong, right? Okay, we have story masters here. So a young lady called Titi was coming from Benin to visit her father, and then she was given cloth as a gift. And she was asked to pay custom duty for those clothes. And she resisted. She said, no, I cannot pay custom duty for things that I did not buy. These are just mere clothes, and it was a gift given to me. And there was a quarrel, there was argument. And Atiku noticed this quarrel and said, okay, what's going on here? And then this lady was not paying for her duty. And then he noticed he saw a beautiful lady, and it was love. It was love at first sight. That's for me. Yeah. All right. So, and then he saw Titi and he fell in love. And then he would start cracking his brain. How do I get her attention? And then he offered to pay for her duty. He said, okay, hey, young lady, how about me paying for your duty and you pay me later? You know, pay me later. You have to mark this word. Pay me later. Because for you to pay later, we have to meet again, right? So I will pay you now and you pay me later. She said, no, I don't have the money, and my mother will not give you the money. Still, I want to pay for you. And then at that time, there was no cell phones, and then she will give him her address. And soon Atiku will start going. And then her mother said, okay, where is this your Atiku from? She said, from Yola. Yola? Why is Yola? She didn't even know where was Yola. Yola was not well known because there was no Adamawa state. There was only where? Gongola state. Talking about a town like Yola. So I didn't mean he is from Kaduna or Kano. We know these places, but someone from a village in Yola, we don't know this person. You cannot marry this person. And Titi at that time, she was a Christian, and Atiku was Muslim. You understand? And then the mother said, no, there's no way you can marry a Muslim, a Fulani from somewhere we didn't know. She resisted, and Atiku persisted. And Atiku will now take Titi to a court, or what do you call it, right? Registry, marriage registry, and secretly married Titi. So this was the time when they were signing the marriage contract at Ikoyi. Yeah, it's in the book. Which page was that? It's in the book. 78, right? Yeah. So Atiku will marry Titi without the knowledge of her mother, without the knowledge of his parents. Kande and Azumi were there in Yola. They didn't know that their stubborn child, Atiku, had married a young lady. Because he has resisted, he refused to come and marry the one they wanted him to marry. But later they didn't care because they wanted him to just get married and give a child. They just want a grandson. But her father was in support. So this is the justification. In 1971, they got married because they leveraged the support of her father. So if her father was in support, that's fine. Because as a man, he can get himself married. But as a woman, you need to get at least your father to agree to the marriage. So her father in Benin agreed to the marriage. He accepted it. But later on, her mother will also love Atiku, will get to blend with him, and found him a very nice person. And then it went normal. And a year after, there was a formal marriage, and there was a different kind of marriages, traditional marriage, Islamic marriage. And he took her back to Jeddah. At that time, he bought his first car, a Peugeot car, 404 car. Right? Remember? I remember there was a time when he had an accident with the car and it got damaged and he had to buy another 404 car. So that's his favorite car, Peugeot. And then he went back to Jeddah with a car, with a wife, with a daughter, and with a lot of money. So there's a cause for celebration in Jeddah. Their child has come back with so many bounties and so many blessings. And they embraced Titi. Titi could not speak Hausa, no Fulfulde. So he would be the one to interpret the conversation between Kande and Titi. So this is how the marriage saga happened. So Atiku made the following statement. He said, and this is a very important aspect of the Atiku story. He said, people were scared of me because I will not ask for money from anybody. I will not ask officers to go and bring returns. I am aware that some officers connived with smugglers to make money. I never did. Yes, once in a while, I received gifts from people I have helped. Corruption was real in customs, but I was not part of it. So a lot of people think, Atiku Abubakar got his money from custom through corruption. And that's not the case. Because I will show you what he did while he was in custom to make money. So we're going to look at his journey in business. And you see that he started business while he was in customs. And that's how he got his money. It was not through the corruption of the customs. He said he was not part of the corruption in the customs. So someone talked to me on Facebook and I asked him to come here. I don't know if he's here. So this is me and him. We are going to go on a combat. And then he was sent back to Ibadan. And then at Ibadan, he was nicknamed Murtala Muhammad Jr. This is another point you guys to catch. Why? Because he was behaving like head of state. At that time, Murtala Muhammad was the head of state. So Atiku Abubakar will be called Murtala Muhammad Jr. And then he was also posted to Kano. He also found love in Kano. So not only in Lagos, there was love in Kano. He met an 18-year-old Sadatu Ladi Yakubu, the daughter of a police inspector in Kano. So Atiku's boss in Kano was called Abubakar Musa, who had a friend called Zainab, and Zainab was a friend to Ladi. And that's how Atiku saw Ladi and they got married. So you can read the love story between Atiku and Ladi on page 120 and page 121. So it's a very long love story there too. But by January 27, 1979, they got married at the age, she was 21 years old at that time. So this, I think I remember this, the mother of Abba, Atiku, and another. Okay. We're going to go through the children too. And then after Kano, he was sent to Maiduguri, but he didn't find love in Maiduguri. But something happened in Maiduguri. He became friend to Indimi. You know Muhammad Indimi, the rich guy in town. His son married Buhari's daughter, right? So Indimi was not rich at that time. He was an assistant to someone called Ahmed Maidaribe in Maiduguri. So Indimi will become friend to Atiku, and he will introduce Atiku to Maidaribe. And then Atiku will also help Maidaribe in his importation businesses as a customs officer. While in Maiduguri, he also met one of my favorite guys, Jamilu Lamido, who is called Jamilu Chokalin Adama. Some of you know him, right? He's been mentioned in the book, I think, 3 times. So Jamilu's father was a rich man in Maiduguri, and he will be sent to Lamido's house in Yola. You know, that time, you know, people send their children to homes, to especially royal families. So Jamilu Chokali was sent to Lamido's house, and then he will become the link between Atiku and the palace in Yola. And Atiku realized how Jamilu was very close to the royal family in Yola, and he got closer to Jamilu. And it was Jamilu who told Atiku that you are going to be appointed as King Adamawa, and he was stubborn in 1982. But that royal title, it comes with additional responsibility, because it's a title that is kept within the royal family. It's a title that is given to the favorite son of the king, of the emir. But Atiku was not the child of the emir. So for him to be tied to the family, he had to marry the daughter of the royal family. And then Jamilu later on will bring him pictures of 3 princesses. And Atiku will choose one of them. And who did he choose? Rukaya. He chose the picture of Princess Rukaya, who had given him birth to, I think, more children than any of his wives. So that's the relationship between Jamilu. When I saw Jamilu, I said, sir, I read about your story. Is that how you are connected and really close to Atiku? He said, and he was telling me, it was inside Atiku's house here in Asokoro. And then he said, you see this house? We are inside. I built this house for myself. But when I asked Atiku to come and look at it, to just see it and appreciate my new project, Atiku said he loved this house. And Atiku asked Jamilu, how much did you spend to build this house? And Jamilu mentioned the price, and Atiku paid him to buy the house. And that's how Atiku owned his current house where he's staying. It was Jamilu Chokali that built the house for himself. But Atiku said, I want this house for myself. So this is how close they are. And that's why when I see Jamilu going into the inner room of Atiku, going into the other room, and how close they are, I say, wow, now I could understand the close relationship. And then he will also be transferred to Kaduna again. But while he was in Kaduna, he saw a place where he could raise his children. So he decided to settle Titi and her children in Kaduna. So he left them there. And while in Kaduna, that's when he started going into business. At that time, it was not forbidden for public servants to go into business. So he married Princess while he was in Kaduna, Princess Rukaya in Adama in 1982. And at the same time, he was posted out of Kaduna to Lagos again. So Atiku left his children in Kaduna and then went to Lagos. While he was in Lagos, he was joined by his friends. And I remember, you guys remember recently one of his closest aides died in person of Adlahi Inyako. So Adlahi Inyako also joined Atiku. They were staying in the same place. So Adlahi Inyako was more like a distant cousin. They were not bloodly related, but he was related to someone that Atiku took like a brother. And that's how he grew up, like Atiku's son or like a brother. He met so many friends in Lagos, and he invested in businesses. And while he was in Lagos in 1984, there was a call from Yola. Lamid of Adamawa called Atiku and said, come back home. Something happened. Atiku came back home. He didn't know what happened. And he was told that his mother died. She died. She was having hypertension and diabetes and complications. So she died of heart attack. And then again in Lagos, he found another love. In person, he met a very, like the author mentioned, a very beautiful lady called Fatima Shetima. And then they got married later. Okay, this is what happened. This is the best part of the story between Atiku and Fatima. And Atiku was a close friend to Ali Zarma. Ali Zarma was the uncle of Fatima. And Fatima said, how could you, a friend of my uncle, say you love me, you like me, you want to marry me? She wanted to discourage him because she was not into Atiku. And she used to call him my father. When Atiku calls, he said, hey, my father, how are you? Atiku said, please stop calling me father. So, and then I read in the book, she would go to her uncle, Gambo Jimeta, who was the Inspector General of Police at that time, and he said, if you miss this man, you never get one like him again. And that statement is what made Fatima to accept Atiku, and they got married in 1986, in July. And then from there, he was sent to Cairo for a course on drug law and enforcement. And then he was sent back to Abuja again, customs headquarters. And he rose to the rank of a deputy director. At that moment, the only thing Atiku wanted to become was the director of customs services. Because he had a friend, Abubakar Musa, who was a custom director. Atiku wanted to succeed him. So his ambition was to become the boss, customs boss. But he found his way. He talked to John Shagaya. John Shagaya was the Internal Affairs Minister under IBB. And then Shagaya requested that Atiku should be appointed as a custom boss. And IBB approved it. Said, okay, Atiku, you become the custom boss. But there was some forces from Gongola. Because Murtala Inyako wanted to become Chief of Naval Staff. And if Atiku becomes a custom boss, that could hinder his appointment or affect his appointment as the Chief of Naval Staff. Because at that time, Jibril Aminu was the Minister of Education. And from Adama, we have the Chief of Air Staff. We also have Inspector General of Police, Gambo Jimeta. So a lot of Adama guys, Gongola guys. And if we appoint Atiku now as custom boss, Murtala Inyako will not become the Chief of Naval Staff. So there was scheming and politics. They talked to IBB, and IBB dropped Atiku's name. And that hurt Atiku. Atiku will go and meet Murtala Inyako and settle this cause with him. But he told him his mind, he said, sir, if you told me you wanted this, I wouldn't have put so much effort and interest to become the custom boss. I would have given it to you. But you made me to make effort, but you sabotaged my effort. I didn't like it. So Atiku started losing interest in the custom boss with a new guy, Dr. Dahiru Bello. This guy, yeah, master. Bello Dahiru, right? Is it the guy that was in the PDP BOT? Oh, he was not the one, right? But it's the same name, right? It's called Dr. Bello Dahiru, Dahiru Halliru Muhammad, right? Dr. Bello Halliru Muhammad. So, because Atiku wanted to become a custom boss, and then this new boss didn't like him because this kind of rivalry. And then he was not enjoying the custom service. He was very close to the custom boss, but he was not enjoying the service. So Atiku had to lose interest in the custom service. But there is another push for Atiku to leave custom service, Shehu Eradua factor. Shehu Eradua will meet him and say, okay, quit this job. Come and join me in politics. We're going to talk about it in the next sub-segment. But quickly, before we talk about Atiku's politics, which is the end of the presentation, let's talk about his businesses. Let us get to know that Atiku's money didn't come from custom service. Even if there's a corruption, Atiku wouldn't have gathered this much resources because what he had, custom cannot give him. So he was investing so much in the business. So let's look at everything Atiku did in his life that is a form of business. You know, I told you he was raising animals and he was collecting money, right? Since childhood, he has been doing that. And he was a bring-up clerk to Adamu Chiroma. I told you about that. He saved money to buy a house for his mother. In 1966, Atiku was a tax officer in Kaduna. He was a tailoring assistant in Kaduna. He continued to invest in housing, in real estate. So in 1974, this is very important, Atiku applied for a federal staff housing loan. He collected a loan of 31,000 naira. At that time, it was big money. And he built a house, and he rented the house out. He saved the money to build a second house. In few years, Atiku will build 8 houses in Yola and rented them out. So from there, that's why some people say Atiku is a landlord of Yola. He continued to buy houses. Any money he got, he will invest in buying houses in Yola. So he will rebuild his mother's house, make it a modern house back in Jeddah. He was into farming. He started the geese farming with 2,500 hectares of land in Yola. He grew maize and cotton. At that time, he was the biggest maize producer in the entire Gongola state. He was producing 10,000 bags of maize annually. He continued to invest in farming in various products to date. So he's still a farmer. In 1980s, Atiku was buying and selling trailer loads of rice, sugar, and flour. So he was a trader. And he was an importer of green tea and batteries from China. These are all during his custom service years. So like, his money was not from the custom service. He's from all these businesses. So we are going to have a board outside. We have a board outside that enumerates his all business life experiences. And then one of Atiku's biggest business that gave him so much money was his involvement in oil and gas business. When he met a friend called Gabriel Volpi, and they started Nicotex together, which was later to become Intels. So this is the oil and gas servicing company, and Nicotex was called Nigeria Container Services. Later on, Abacha will collect this company and put his people there, stooges there, to be collecting the revenue. But Volpi was holding on to the truth, into the trust, and he kept the shares of Atiku. Atiku will collect back his shares, and then he will later sell his shares more than $100 million. It's big money. That's how he sold his shares from Intels. So Atiku is no longer part of Intels, but that gave him so much money at that time. And then he diversified and bought so many shareholders. Other business Atiku did was investment in education. You guys, you know, he invested in Abti, nursery, primary, secondary, and the university. Even though recently he said, my university is not for my children to inherit. So if I die, the university will not be part of sharing for my children. So this is given to the community. So anything that comes from AUN university is for the community, because this is given back to the community. So he built Adama Beverages. You know what they produce? What do they produce? Faro juice and other drinks. And then he launched AUN Hotel in 2012. He invested in media. What's the name of the Atiku's media TV channel? Gotel. And he also built animal feed company for livestock feed production in Yola, which is expanded now in Abuja. It is shareholders so many companies. So you can see so many streams of income, because Atiku believed that money should not be left idle. We have to use money to make more money. So he believed that if we have to do politics, we have to get a lot of money to come and give in the politics. And that is his style. One of his strengths is when he's joining a party or joining a candidate or supporting any person, he will invest in that person. He does that even today, in today's politics. He supported so many gubernatorial candidates. He supports a lot of people. When he's joining a party, he will sponsor that party. I will show you the kind of contribution he gave to so many political parties and political interests. So finally, the last chapter of Atiku's story is politics. So this is the interesting part of you guys. You want to learn more about Atiku. As you can see, the first of Atiku's politics is Shehu Musa Yar'Adua. So you cannot talk about the story of Atiku's political career without first talking about Shehu Musa Yar'Adua. And this is what Shehu Musa Yar'Adua told Atiku Abubakar. He said, look, you are good. You relate well with people. I think you will make a good politician. Why don't you join me in politics? In 1988. In 1988, Atiku did not leave custom services, because 1987, IBB announced political transition. So there was hope that IBB will usher in new democratic administration. So Shehu was willing to contest for president. And he consulted with some friends Atiku's friends, okay, you guys, you need to master these friends. Atiku's close, if you check this book, Atiku's closest friend was Adamu Yaro. Yeah, this guy, yeah, master. Wow, you master everything. And there is Adamu Bello, there is Adamu Yaro, Oyewale Fashawe, and Magdiel Samanki. You know, recently when we are broadcasting the AA week, and then I came across Magdiel Samanki. I said, who is this guy? And when I was reading this book, I said, wow, I know this guy now. So Atiku attended his daughter's marriage recently. So all these guys, most of them are alive. And so Atiku consulted his friends. They say, okay, yeah, go into politics. But Atiku's close families, they say, no. Don't join politics. Politics is dirty. You are going to spend a lot of money in politics. So they advise against him, especially family. But just if you don't want custom service, quit custom service and go into business. Don't go into politics. You know, out of love, sometimes our loved ones will try to restrict us. But it was not because they didn't like us, because they love us. But by doing that, they are restricting our progress. So in 1988, Atiku started attending regular meetings at Shehu Musa Yar'Adua's house in Ikeja, even before he left custom service. Sorry, what did I say? Ikoyi, I say Ikeja, right? Sorry, in Ikoyi. Yeah, that's correct. Thank you, Roland. In Ikoyi, so Shehu had a house in Ikoyi, and Atiku will be going there. So Yar'Adua formed a group. What he did was, he will go around and select brilliant guys, young guys who are doing well. Either you have to be financially well or intellectually well, and he will bring you into his team. So that's what Shehu Yar'Adua did. Atiku Abubakar will narrate this story recently in Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Center, how Yar'Adua brought these amazing young guys together. So what lesson are we learning? So I think the team of young people who are doing well intellectually and financially, you could not be stopped. You become unstoppable. So Atiku continued to participate and develop interest in politics, and in 1989, a year after, when he got injected with the politics by Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, he quit the custom service. So he had more reasons now to leave the custom service, because a month after that, IBB lifted ban on party politics, and that was the best time. Shehu Musa Yar'Adua at that time was contesting to be president. There is no way Atiku would want to be president with his boss. So Atiku was somehow grounded in politics before leaving customs. So Yar'Adua group formed a political party called People's Front. So this is another thing to catch. People's Front is the name of the Atiku's first political party, which was formed by Yar'Adua, and their motto was justice, peace, and services. Ango Abdullahi was part of the Yar'Adua's group, and Ango Abdullahi brought Farouk Abdulaziz to be the PF chairman, but he was not successful. Atiku, he became successful. So Farouk Abdulaziz became the PF chairman, and Atiku Abubakar became the first vice chairman of PF. So the first role Atiku held position he held was the vice chairman of PF. Atiku became the party in 1989. He was one of the biggest financial contributor to the Yar'Adua group. So he would bring money. He was the sole financier of the party in his state, in Gongola state. So he has this kind of fierce loyalty to his boss, Shehu. There is this kind of fierce loyalty between Atiku and Shehu Musa Yar'Adua. So Atiku represented Gongola at the convention of PF. But Atiku said the reason why he joined politics is because of this reason. Atiku said, I was educated free of charge and catered for by the government. Politics to me has been a way of paying back. So he believed that so much has been given to him, the easiest way to pay back to community is to engage in politics. So in 1989, two major political parties emerged because IBB disbanded the PF and PSP and other parties. IBB created only two political parties, SDP and NRC. So Atiku and Yar'Adua group, they had to abandon their own political party and join IBB's political party. So there were so many political parties before NRC and SDP, so they had to collapse into one of these two. And PSP and PF, they joined SDP. They're very opposite to each other. They're rivals, but they found themselves under SDP. So PSP also joined SDP, and NRC was taken by United Nigerian Congress and Liberal Convention. And then Atiku said, okay, I will go and contest for governor of Gongola State because my boss at Shehu was contesting for president. I will go and contest for governor under SDP in Gongola. So Atiku Abubakar, Boss Mustafa, you know Boss Mustafa, right? The current SGF. Natia Duma, who will have been here, he's in Adamawa now. Hamani Baza and JJ Fa were the Gongola delegates to the SDP convention to elect the presidential candidate. Eradua group wanted Ango Abdullahi initially to be the party SDP chairman, but they substituted him for Babagana Kingibe. Babagana Kingibe became the SDP national chairman. Muhammad Azika was the opponent to Kingibe and a candidate of PSP group. So the SDP was governed by, at national was governed by the PF group, Eradua group. But at Gongola level, it was governed by PSP group. So Atiku faced fierce opposition in his local Gongola state. Boss Mustafa and his group, who were coming from PSP, were going against Atiku's ambition. But he would still go ahead and win the primary election. Babagana Kingibe became the party chairman. Boss Mustafa became the SDP Gongola state chairman from the PSP group. In 1990, September 1, Atiku declared to contest for governor. He did a press conference, so it was not like what he did this year. It was not in ICC. So he called for a press conference to announce that he was contesting. So he was opposed by the PSP group, especially Boss Mustafa. But PF group is strong at local, but PF group, okay, no. PF group was strong at national, but not strong at local. But at that time, Bamanga Tukur was also contesting under NRC. So Atiku will have faced Bamanga Tukur in that contest. So what happened? IBB, just before the election, he created 13 new states. And among the new states he created was Adamawa State. So the ambition of Atiku has to be cut short because he can no longer contest as a governor of Gongola State, and then he had to come down to contest for governor of Adamawa State. So this is the first and second contest of Atiku as a governor. In 1991, Atiku contested against Bala Takaya, and then Dahir Waziri. Dahir Waziri's daughter will be married to Atiku's first son, Adamu, eventually. And Nuhu and Deaba, Lawrence, blah, blah, all these names, they went to the primary, but Atiku won. But Bala Takaya challenged Atiku Abubakar. He said he was not qualified, that he didn't win the election fairly. His closest rival, Takaya. But Natia Duma, the person that was supposed to be here, which was, I was on the phone with you last night, he was supporting Lawrence Mbale. But Natia Duma said, no, Atiku, you are not qualified. You cannot win this election because you didn't have the two-third majority, and okay, he had a simple majority, but he didn't have the two-third majority. And so he said the two of them, Takaya and Atiku, we are not qualified. And Atiku was looking for any excuse. And then he canceled the election. He canceled the Adamawa election, and any election where Eradua's boys emerged, IBB will cancel those elections. So this is the second time IBB also was stopping Atiku from going ahead in his political contest. So they were disqualified on the second round election. So now there's going to be election in Adamawa without Atiku. Why? Because IBB disqualified him. So this is a tactic by IBB to dwarf Eradua's influence, because the biggest rival to IBB at that time was Eradua. And allowing Atiku to grow is like empowering Eradua. So the fight is not between IBB and Atiku. It's a fight between IBB and Eradua. So in 1991, December 2, Eradua was also banned, was arrested and detained, but he was later being released because IBB didn't like Shehu, because that could really, really affect his continuation in power. And then eventually Mustafa, okay, there's what happened to this plate number? He blocked someone? So GWA FX, a plate number with this. You are blocking someone. I think someone wants to go out. So Boss Mustafa and Dottijo Yerima joined other candidates to contest for governorship in SDP. And Boss Mustafa emerged as a gubernatorial candidate, went ahead and contested against Saleh Michika of NRC. And Saleh Michika will emerge and defeated Boss Mustafa. But if it was Atiku, of course, Atiku will have beaten Saleh Michika of NRC. But Atiku was not throwing his support to Boss Mustafa because of the internal crisis. So, and now Atiku now suddenly becomes a presidential candidate. How did it happen? This is how it happened. Now because IBB had banned Yar'Adua. Yar'Adua cannot contest for election. And now he brought up Atiku. Atiku at that time was 46 years old. He said, Atiku, come up and contest to be the president of SDP. But Yar'Adua knew that if we bring up a candidate, there will not be so much pressure on IBB to relinquish power. So Yar'Adua said we have to bring someone from the south because the pressure from the south. So he brought Abiola. It was Yar'Adua that brought up Abiola. And then close to the primary election, Yar'Adua will tell Atiku to step down. Initially, they went to the election. It was preferential election. Okay, if you are supporting Atiku, you write Atiku first. And who is your second preferred candidate in that order? So it was agreed that everyone will vote for Abiola, Atiku, but Kingibe. But Kingibe was also president. So there were three major candidates: Abiola, Atiku, and Babagana Kingibe. So there was agreement between Abiola camp and Yar'Adua camp that Abiola will support you, but you are going to make Atiku the vice president. And all the northern delegates will vote for you. But it was accused in the book that Abiola camp did not fulfill their promises. They started voting for Babagana Kingibe. And Atiku came third in that election. There was a second ballot. Atiku stepped down. Yar'Adua said should step down for Abiola. And then he stepped down with the promise that he would become the vice president. And after Abiola won the primary election, and he wanted to pick his vice president, IBB said, why won't you take the National Labour Party chairman? What's his name? I have his name somewhere here. Okay, I think we are coming there. He said, why wouldn't you pick someone like a Labour Party chairman? But the Labour Party chairman was not strong, was not well known. He's not sellable. Because IBB wanted to reduce the chances of Abiola. Because IBB wanted Bashir Tofa of NRC to win. Because it's very easy to cancel the election if it is a northern candidate like that of Bashir Tofa. Because IBB didn't want a powerful force there. And then the SDP governor said they don't want Atiku, they want Babagana Kingibe. And that's how Abiola did not fulfill his promise, and he picked Babagana Kingibe, not Atiku. Atiku will have even won the presidential ticket if Abiola camp went on to fulfill their agreements, but they didn't. So Atiku stepped down, and this is what happened, and then so Babagana Kingibe became the vice president of Abiola, and later on, IBB nullified the election because IBB was not aware that Abiola was growing so much power. And it was to his dismay that Abiola emerged and he nullified the election. IBB said the reason why he canceled the election was that he got some intelligence that some armies, some military people, they wanted to kill Abiola. And if he had declared Abiola, those military guys would have killed Abiola. Well, that's what he said. So to save his friend, saying that some soldiers don't want power to civilians, he said Abiola will have been killed. IBB will say that. IBB then announced an interim government. He proposed a 9-month interim government. He proposed it to Obasanjo. Obasanjo said no. He proposed it to Atiku. Atiku said no. And then he proposed it to who? Shonekan, and he accepted it. And Abacha was not satisfied with Shonekan. He will take over from Shonekan. And Abiola was deceived by Abacha. Abiola supported Abacha. He gave his people into the Abacha government, but Yar'Adua camp did not support Abacha, and that's how Abacha started going against the Yar'Adua camps. He would start chasing them and then hunting them. So Abiola realized that Abacha deceived him and went ahead and declared himself president. And that's the biggest trouble. And Abacha arrested him, and that's how he ended his life. In 1994, the Yar'Adua group PF, they transformed into PDM group, and they challenged Abacha's administration. And Yar'Adua was also arrested. Again, Atiku was a bit diplomatic. Atiku will write 8-point agenda to advise Abacha on how to return democracy to Nigeria. Yar'Adua continued the pressure, and Atiku and Yar'Adua continued their relationship. Abacha started developing interest to become president of Nigeria. What he did, he wanted the support of Atiku Abubakar. For Abacha to become president, he needed the support of people like Atiku. So he came to Atiku, he said, Ogasa, you have your seat here. Thank you. And he said, he called Atiku and said, Atiku, can you dump Yar'Adua and join me? Abacha said, I want to work with you if you can dump Atiku, if you can dump Yar'Adua. Atiku said, I would rather die than to betray Shehu. This is the kind of loyalty that these people have. And if there's any lesson we, the young people, we should learn, is that we should be loyal and we should hold on to trust. If someone supported you and invested in you and was your mentor, was someone who was there for you, always hold on to that trust. Never betray people that have hold on to trust with you. So Atiku said, I'd rather die than to betray Yar'Adua. Abacha dropped his diplomacy. He stopped chasing Atiku. He went on fire for fire. He sought to ruthlessness. He started going for ex-generals, abducting them, abducting human rights activists like Gani Fawemi and Femi Palana, and so on and so forth. Atiku got intelligence that there is going to be a final capture of Yar'Adua. He went to Yar'Adua and said, Yar'Adua, they want to kill you. Let us go and leave this country. Yar'Adua said, no, I'm not going. You go first, I will join you later. And Yar'Adua was coming from Kaduna, arriving in Abuja. He got arrested on March 9th, 1995, and he has never come back home from that arrest. Atiku came back when he had the news that his boss was captured. He was trying to free him, but was not possible, all in vain. And Atiku had been visiting Kirikiri prison and making effort for Shehu's release. Obasanjo was also captured by Abacha, put them in prison. May 1995, there was an order to also kill Atiku. Abacha was very ruthless, wanted that power desperately. He wanted to eliminate anyone that could stand in front of his way, because he wanted to rule Nigeria until 2010. You remember that? So that's what happened. So Atiku, there was a killing squad that was sent to Atiku's house in Kaduna. Ademo Atiku would have been here to narrate that story, what happened. He was tied with the TV cable. And then Atiku emerged to come out and say, okay, that's my son, leave him alone. If you want me, come and take me, but spare my child. And Ademu was telling me that he remember this story vividly. He could still see it as if it happened yesterday. And there was a lot of shooting around, and miraculously Atiku escaped the bullets. And then there was the guards, the security in Atiku's house reported to the police. Unfortunately, the killing squad did not inform the police about the operation of killing Atiku. And then soon the commissioner of police will deploy the security to come to Atiku's rescue. And 6 police officers were killed. Because these guys, instead of them to kill Atiku, they were now trying to tackle the security forces that were coming to stop them. And that's how Atiku escaped. So Atiku would have been dead, would have been killed on that day. So he escaped and he survived. And that's how he went into exile. He left the country. He went to where?
He went to the UK and later into the USA. That's where he met Jennifer, Jamila, and then she helped him stay and become active while in the USA. And then there was a time in February 15, 1997, Shehu Yar'Adua was being transferred from Port Harcourt prison to Abakaliki, and then the Abacha's chief medical officer, in person of Colonel Ibrahim Yakase, handcuffed Yar'Adua and injected him with a rare strain of HIV virus while pretending to take his blood sample. And that's how Yar'Adua died. May his soul rest in peace. And that's why Atiku said there are a lot of people who fought against the military to restore the value and the vibrancy of democracy to Nigeria. And he was lucky to survive it. So he had to continue with the struggle because God saved him to continue with the struggle. So many people, they started with them, but they couldn't live to see the return and sustainability of democracy in Nigeria. So Atiku knows the value of democracy because he could remember the kind of lives that we are lost to have this kind of democracy that we are now celebrating today. So this is how Atiku lost his mentor, his friend, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, in the hands of the military. There was a similar plan to kill Obasanjo too, but Obasanjo got the intelligence that if Yakase comes to you, don't allow him to take your blood sample. Obasanjo refused, so he didn't want to die. That's how Obasanjo survived it. Abiola was also treated by the same Yakase. Abiola was alleged to be poisoned in his tea. Well, so this is how these military people were going around dealing with people. And then Abacha became very serious about his aspiration to become Nigeria's president, and he announced his new plan to restore democracy, and Atiku was still interested in politics. He joined Abacha's plan to return democracy, and he joined the party called UNCP and became the sole candidate for governor of Adamawa State. How many times Atiku was contesting for governor of Adamawa State at this stage? The third. This is the third. Remember, under Gongola, Adamawa under SDP, and now UNCP under Abacha, right? So this is the third gubernatorial ambition. Abacha was the one running for president, and so people say, hey, you ran for president, Atiku, why are you running for governor again? Because you could not contest against Abacha. You will kill him. But Abacha suddenly died in June 8, 1988. 1998, what did I say? Oh, sorry, okay. I'm used to all these old years. 1998, sorry, yeah, pardon me. And then there's a fresh start because Abacha died and now Abdulsalam back to power. And then Abdulsalam was very serious about restoring democracy. And PDM group, which was initially formed by PF and Yar'Adua's group, joined other people to form PDP. They come together, they form PDP. At that time, in 1998, Atiku donated 100 million naira to PDP. You could imagine. I told you Atiku's strength. When he's going into politics, he will fund the party. He will fund the people in the party. And he offered to pay for the rent of PDP secretariat for 2 years. So he's a founder and financier of PDP at its infancy. So some people will now come and say they are the owners of PDP. They will start bragging and saying that this is our party, we funded the party. When Atiku was funding PDP, some of them, they were not even aware that they will become politicians in their lives. So, you tell me. At that time, Atiku was not even eyeing any national office. And people were surprised. You are not contesting for president and you are investing this much amount of money? People were scared. And then there was zoning. And then the PDP BOT met at Jerry Gana's house and decided to zone the presidency ticket of PDP to the south. And Atiku, they were in a meeting to decide who are they going to adopt from the south. And there was a guy called Akinjide. And Atiku groups and Yar'Adua group wanted Akinjide. And suddenly, General Ali Gusau came in before Atiku's group went into the meeting.
And Ali Gusau pleaded with Atiku and said, we want Obasanjo. The Elders Forum, the ex-generals, they want Obasanjo. So I want you to help us get Obasanjo from your group. And that's how Atiku insisted that Obasanjo must be the adopted candidate from that group. If that group did not adopt Obasanjo, Obasanjo would not have won the election of the PDP ticket. And that's why Obasanjo knew the role Atiku played in his emergence as the PDP candidate. So Atiku played a vital role in Obasanjo's political career. So Atiku group, we are just about to introduce Akinjede. Then Gusau came in and pleaded and informed him that the military and northern elders said they want someone from Southwest. And particularly Obasanjo was their unanimous choice. So Gusau wanted the support of the PDM group. Atiku insisted on Obasanjo, and Obasanjo became the candidate of PDP. So a group was sent to Obasanjo to inform him that we want you to contest for president. He was just coming out of prison. Atiku, Lawal Keita, Afolabi, Ango Abdullahi, and Titi Ajanku was the team that was sent to Obasanjo to see Obasanjo in his Ota farm. They said, we want you to contest for president. He said, president? I said, no. Obasanjo refused. And Atiku Gusau persisted that Obasanjo must contest. In November 2, 1998, Obasanjo agreed to contest and declared for president. Obasanjo was not hiding his incapacity, financial incapacitation, because he said, I've been in prison, I don't have money. You guys, you say you want me to contest, bring out the money, I don't have the money. So he didn't hide it. Atiku brought Onyewole Fashawe to work together to do businesses so that they can fund the campaign of Obasanjo. So you guys, you see, you cannot just jump into politics, you don't have the money, right? So what lesson we learned from Atiku's story is that before you join politics, you have to have the financial muscle. Even though it's not the best thing, but in this kind of politics we have in the country, you can do without the money. But it doesn't mean that if you don't have the money, you just give up. You can still struggle and try if you have the ideas and the vision. And then Atiku will go back and contest for the governor to realize his long-term ambition to govern his state, go back to contest for governor of Adamawa State because Obasanjo was contesting for president, and then he got the ticket. He emerged as the governor of Adamawa State, and they were accusing him, you contested for president. Why are you so much interested? Why are you stooping so low to contest for governor of a state? Atiku's rival, they were accusing him, he said he was obeying the BOT decision. If BOT said they have zoned the presidency to the Southwest and he's not from the Southwest, he will not contest. And Atiku has been an obedient of, not, okay, did I say? Obedient, not obedient, okay? Was obedient of the BOT and party decision. If party says this, Atiku will stick to that, right? So Atiku's old rival also came up, Bala Takaya, was also running, but against Atiku in a different party, now AMPP. Atiku defeated him with a gap of 46,000 votes. And then there comes somebody called Boni Haruna. Okay, I found the story of Boni Haruna very interesting. Because Boni Haruna was the young man that was following Atiku in 1991. He would write speeches. He was one of the top guys with the brain at that time. And he would prepare a position paper for Atiku. So he was one of the boys of Atiku at that time. And then Atiku would give him a job as an assistant director in one of the printing press company. Even though Boni Haruna didn't want it, many times Boni Haruna wanted to leave that job to join the Federal Civil Service as a deputy director. He almost got the, but because of his loyalty to Atiku and Eradua group, he was not given the chance. The minister told Boni Haruna and said, if you want us to give you this job, you have to remove in your CV that you have worked with Eradua and Atiku. He said, no, he cannot remove it. You can imagine the loyalty. So he was not given the chance. And then in 1991, when Atiku was not able to get the gubernatorial position, and he sent Boni Haruna to the governor of Taraba, Joli Nyame. He said, Boni Haruna, he asked the governor, Joli Nyame, to take Boni Haruna as his PA. So Boni Haruna became the PA to the Taraba governor in 1991. So now Boni Haruna will come back in 1999 to join Atiku in the campaign.
and he was very clever. He came with his tax clearance ready. He came ready-made. So even if there's any chance, any position, he's ready to contest. So now, a list of people were submitted to Atiku to choose. There was no Boni Haruna in the list. But, okay, these are the list. I think I have it here. I have the list here. So, Yakubu, Salah, Boss Mustafa again. You could imagine. You know that Atiku will not give Boss Mustafa, right? Paul Wampama, Ibrahim Wachi, and later Boni Haruna. Atiku insisted that Boni Haruna must be in the list. And then Boni Haruna will once said, and I quote, Oga called me and said, I should prepare to go with him for screening. You are going to be my deputy. That's what Atiku told Boni Haruna. And Boni Haruna was shocked. I'm going to be your deputy? He was shocked, and then he became. Atiku was more involved in Obasanjo's campaign, following him and funding the Obasanjo campaign. He is here contesting to be governor of Adamawa State, but he's more visible at the national campaign. Bamanga Tukur and Jibril Aminu, they were scared. They were so visible. They are making speeches in Obasanjo's campaign, because at that time, Bamanga Tukur and Jibril Aminu, they were the ones who were supposed to be the running mate of Obasanjo. And they were scared of Atiku. And soon, Obasanjo, when he went to Kano, when they were about to board the plane, and Obasanjo asked everyone to leave them alone. He took Atiku into the plane, and he told Atiku that, you guys, you put me into this. So you have to join me in the ticket. At that time, Atiku had won his gubernatorial election. And then Atiku accepted. And Bamanga Tukur and Jibril Aminu, they were not happy. You've taken over Adamawa State. You've taken the national for us. You know, they wouldn't like it. And then Boni Haruna became automatically became the governor. That was challenged by Bala Takaya. Okay, Boni Haruna, you are governor, and you continue to be governor, and continue to be governor of Adamawa State for 8 years after that. So this is how Boni Haruna came into the picture. So Atiku became vice president for 8 years, and you know what happened in 2003? What happened? You guys, these are some of the fresher stories, some of the fresher things that you know. Governors wanted Atiku to be president, but Atiku is always loyal. He doesn't want to betray trust. Okay, he wanted to give the chance to Obasanjo to finish with the promise that Atiku will also become president after that. But Obasanjo betrayed that trust. Obasanjo wanted to even go for third term, and Atiku fought that third term. And that's the beginning of all this story. And Obasanjo, from that moment, he started reducing how much he likes Atiku, because Atiku fought his third term. And Obasanjo will deny Atiku the ticket of the party, will deny Atiku participating in the election, because at that time, in 2007, Obasanjo brought Eradua, who was not willing, who was not interested to contest in the election, because he was thinking that that's the best way to get rid of Atiku, because he brings in the younger brother of his boss. So reducing the fierce competition. And Obasanjo will ask INEC to declare Atiku, to disqualify Atiku. And the Supreme Court said, no, INEC cannot disqualify a candidate. It's only a court that can disqualify a candidate. And that's how Atiku was allowed to contest for the presidential election. He came third. Under which party? AC. Atiku contested under AC, but he came third. Who came second? Of which party? AMPV. God, that guy, I trust you. He's full of stories and history. Oh. Okay. All right, we are about to conclude now. So, okay. So which year are we now? Which year are we? Okay. So now in 2011. Okay. Okay, we are going to do that. Can someone give me tissue, please? Someone. And in 2011, Atiku returned to PDP. You know what happened? There was a committee, in the Northern Elders Committee. IBB was contesting. Bukola Saraki was contesting. Atiku was contesting. And it was agreed that there should be a vote. And who else? Consensus candidate. And Atiku became the Northern Consensus candidate. I went ahead, but still lost to who was the president then? Goodluck Jonathan. Goodluck Jonathan became the PDP candidate and won the election. And in 2015, Atiku joined the forces of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Buhari and Akande, right? Yeah. To BC Akande to form which party? APC. And then Atiku contested and came fourth in the Lagos Convention. Who came second in that election? Konkoso, that's correct. And then in 2019, let's get Nigeria working again. And then he produced his plan to contest for president of Nigeria again. And this is how many times? And this is his fifth time. In 2019, that was Atiku's fifth time. He contested for governor 4 times. He's contesting for the 6th time now as a president. He defeated Tambuwal in Port Harcourt in 2018 primary election, lost to the incumbent president, but Atiku will challenge this election at court, saying that he has won the election going by the results from the INEC server. And we know what happened. And we know what is happening today in our fresh memory. He declared in March 2022 to contest for the president, and now we are in for the vision of one Nigeria, one people, and one future, and that's where we are today. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is your man, Atiku Abubakar. Nobody will tell you about Atiku's stories. You will be the ones to tell Atiku's stories. Not only to your people, not only to your friend, but even the opposition party. You will tell them who is the man Atiku, because knowing the man Atiku will make you to love him, to even vote for him, because knowing the person's story will make you to know his motive and make you to like him.